Hi, I'm Renee Hobbs, and today I'm going to talk with you about how adolescents advance intellectual curiosity by learning to create broadcast news. So this slide and this talk is going to be posted on my website, so hopefully you'll get to share it. So the research question for this project is, what is the impact of an industry-supported high school program in broadcast journalism on adolescents? What kinds of media production skills do students engage in a high school broadcast journalism program? And how is intellectual curiosity, the ability to give and receive feedback, and confidence and self-expression activated through participating in the program? This is actually a chance for me to empirically test one of the great debates. The question is, should the media industry support media literacy education initiatives? So the project is a 3-year program evaluation of PBS News Hours student reporting labs. It's a high school journalism program that connects mentors from the PBS community to high schools all across the country, where they use a journalism curriculum and they develop broadcast news packages. In the year that this data comes from, we're reporting on 38 participating schools all over the country, with a lot of participants coming from California, Texas, and Florida. When you go to the Student Reporting Labs site, you can look at the student-produced videos by high school, looking at just the ones produced by Desert Pines High School in Reno, Nevada, for example. Or you can look by issue, all the stories published about the environment, right? Or about labor, or about the business community, or about legal issues. And wow, Paul, do me a favor, buddy. Can you, maybe it's more like this, right? Maybe I move this guy. There we go. That's better. Okay, so the theoretical framework that underlines this study really is 5 big ideas: Dewey, Vygotsky, Freire, McLuhan, and Hall. I don't need to say anything more about that. That's kind of like the underpinning of all of media literacy education. But this is a program assessment. So we were using formative and summative research to guide the PBS NewsHour people about their planning, reflection, action, evaluation. So this is an action research project because we were collaborating with PBS at every stage. Our research is intended to contribute to some improvement in the program. We used a lot of different methods. You can see them there. But in the study I'm reporting today, I'm just going to share with you the pre-post online survey. We collected other kinds of data as well, of course. So the way the PBS NewsHour reporting labs was thinking about what students will get out of this experience is that they'll be active in seeking out and using resources, gaining content knowledge about all different topics, adapt their communication in relation to audience, task, and purpose, learn how to ask critical questions, analyze information, learn how to use technology to gain knowledge and express ideas, and learn to appreciate diverse interpretations. Cool to notice that those learning goals are really deeply embedded in the Common Core state standards right now. So teachers in high schools are really highly motivated to find ways to meet these learning goals because they're actually part of the national curriculum. But the PBS NewsHour's approach is really interesting and had a big impact on the kind of research we were able to do. They had an expectation that if you signed up, if you were a high school teacher and you signed up, and you might be a journalism teacher, but you might be an English teacher, you might be a social studies teacher, it didn't really matter. If you sent an email, they said, fine, come on in. The expectation is that your kids will produce 2 90-second to 2-minute broadcast news packages on a themed topic. In the year we explored, it was education and the environment. Every year, different topics. And 1 package on a free choice topic of the student's choice. Teachers, flexible levels of participation are encouraged, meaning a teacher could say to PBS, I can't produce 3 news stories. That's impossible. I can just do 1. Fine. I can only do it for the fall semester. I can't do it for the spring semester. Fine. So there was a lot of openness. PBS didn't put any gates up to limit teacher participation, so there was a lot of different levels of participation. The teachers came from a wide range of backgrounds and previous experience. Most of them had no prior experience in journalism, had no idea how to teach journalism, and were unfamiliar with journalism education and its cultural values. And teachers could attend a modest 1-day optional orientation program in Washington, D.C. It was partially funded by PBS. Fewer than half of the teachers participated in that program, but some did. Now, PBS hooked up each of the participating teachers with a PBS affiliate. Sometimes that was actually somebody who was working at the local PBS station. Sometimes that was somebody else, another media educator, not employed by PBS, but kind of in the ambit of the community. And their level of participation and engagement varied widely. So sometimes they were actively involved in coaching on script writing, providing revisions, coaching on interviewing, coaching on editing, coaching on balance and fairness and all that. And other times they were missing in action. Okay, they were there in name only, but they didn't participate at all. So, from a research point of view, I would say that's maximum program variability with no fidelity check. Right? I got 38 participating schools and really no way to know who's doing what. Yeesh, that's hard. Okay, so you probably should know a little bit about the sample. We had a really great sample of 566 students. 36% were Hispanic and Latino, reflecting a bit of an oversampling in California, Texas, and Florida. Ranged from 13 to 18 years old, mostly on the upper end. You see, 17-year-old, mostly male. And 35% low socioeconomic. Okay, so I want to give you a feeling for the kind of stories that the kids produce, because I wish I could show you some of these broadcasts, but we don't have time. So just imagine short 2-minute news packages produced in classic, boring PBS News Hour style, balanced, neutral, voiceover narrative, on-camera interviews. Fact-based on these kinds of topics. Chicago teen reflects on gang-related deaths that altered his life. Water conservation, friend or foe. Student athletes asked to monitor social media presence, and are constitutional rights upheld in South Carolina schools? So students tackle topics that they perceive to be relevant and meaningful. The two themes they were asked to explore, environment and education, and then the free choice topic, which generally focused on issues in their community. Okay, so I'm going to just share with you the 3 variables that I tried to drill down in for this study. We wanted to see if we could capture what happened in these programs, right? So we didn't ask the teachers, we asked the kids. What did you do, right? Did you analyze videos? 70% said yes. Did you create a storyboard? 65% said yes. Did you pitch a news story? 54% said yes. Did you use a video camera to record visuals? 69% said yes. Did you log footage? 43%. Did you engage in cycles of revision and feedback? 38%. Really important to notice. Not all students participated in all activities, right? So there was clearly differentiated learning going on in these inquiry-oriented classrooms. We measured production skills in 2 ways. We looked at the communication skills, including interviewing, comparing fact and opinion, developing a news story pitch, gathering reliable information, presenting yourself on camera. And we looked at technical skills, like setting up a tripod and a camera, fixing video quality, doing video editing, directing and producing a package, using a video camera to film. When we looked at time 1 and time 2, we saw really nice statistically significant growth in both communication and technical skills. Since we were unable to have a control group, however, it's possible that these differences were the result of maturation. So we couldn't have a control group, so we saw differences. The scope of the differences suggests something's going on if you just look at the big improvements in some of those areas. We also measured 3 kinds of attitudes: intellectual curiosity, giving and receiving feedback, and confidence and self-expression. And again, we saw big changes from September to May in kids' intellectual curiosity, wanting to learn about all sides of an issue, curious about how to solve issues in my community, and find myself questioning things I hear and read, as well as giving and receiving feedback and confidence and self-expression. So that was exciting to see that statistically significant growth over time. So we did a little bit of exploration to see how these variables were correlated with each other. I'm not going to show you a correlation matrix, but if you said yes, we did some of this, gathering information and synthesizing. These were really distinct practices. They were not overlapping too much, although obviously they were correlated. So we asked ourselves, what factors are the best predictors of intellectual curiosity? I guess it's probably important to recognize here that that's the variable I'm most interested in, right? Because I think the whole concept behind media literacy education is that intellectual curiosity can be cultivated. It's not a, given. It's a property that can be enhanced. Maybe in classroom activities or production skills or giving and receiving feedback can enhance or explain the growth in intellectual curiosity. Turns out that confidence in self-expression and giving and receiving feedback account for most of the variance in the intellectual curiosity score, followed by the development of technical skills. What a surprise! And tell you the truth, a little bit of a disappointment. Notice the in-class activities do not make a major contribution. Oh, NewsHour, they're not happy about that. Oh, well, but we know why, right? So there's the model. Turns out that giving and receiving feedback and competence in self-expression matters. Want to position this as more evidence that inquiry learning model of media literacy is pretty robust. The conclusions I draw from this study are that intellectual curiosity is stimulated by learning tasks that include social interaction that builds confidence and self-expression, and this practice of giving and receiving feedback. And technical skills acquisition should not be feared as diminishing or trivializing academic performance, as it strongly contributes to intellectual curiosity. This is a big deal because in many high schools in America, you can't get academic credit for media production classes because it's considered not academic. But actually, it turns out that technical skills are the strongest predictor of intellectual curiosity. So that's something we need to understand more. And I think it's also worth saying that in this case, the diversity and variability of these in-class media production activities wasn't associated with intellectual curiosity. Students may not need to rotate through all the production roles to derive benefit from media production experiences. So the kids who had more diverse experiences, they logged footage, they edited, blah, blah, they did everything. They didn't necessarily have any advances in intellectual curiosity. So just to reflect, John Dewey told us intellectual curiosity is really important, and we should think about what we can do to encourage it. That's especially relevant in relation to the great debates because Dewey says, we may escape these evils only to become encased in a hard dogmatism, which is equally fatal to the spirit of wonder. When we think about the role of the media industry in promoting media literacy education, I think this study offers a contribution. Thanks very much.